in a world where equality is just another euphemism for mediocrity, where participation is more highly valued than achievement, where just enough to get by is the new standard of excellence. There is a small minority of people who fight back against such apathy, who struggle daily to reach new heights. These brave few are the hope for the future, the bright shining light for the next generation. They are the ones who will lead us to the places we have never dreamed of, to the undiscovered country, to reach goals only a few can even begin to imagine. Unfortunately, none of those people could be here tonight, so kick back and relax, prepare yourself for several hours of fun, friendship, fascinating conversation, and fabulous music. All those F's, that's an alliteration and kind of a radio trick. Speaking of radio, you're listening to the most popular radio station in the history of broadcast radio, at least among stations that originate from Chris's living room. It's Curious Times. Your host is a curious listener. Here she is, Chris.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Curious Times. Getting a little bit of a late start here. Welcome to Curious Times. It's 9/9/18. 9/9 is 18. 9/9, September 9th, 2018. Amy Cavanaugh, the world's only Heaventologist, combination Heaventologist mermaid, is here. And let's see, tomorrow we're supposed to have Aaliyah, Melissa Bruce on Tuesday, Wednesday, Kathleen Moore. Then Salva, of course, has got no ability really to connect over there in Hawaii. And so it's funny because I had come across somebody from Hawaii that said they had nothing but trouble with their internet all the time over there. I'm all like, well, just change. I guess it depends on what island you're on and whatnot. But they have a situation there in some places where it's like, there's one internet provider, and if they suck and they don't service well, tough luck, because that's all there is, the only gig there is going. So it's pretty bad. That reminds me of back in the day when, there was only one telephone company in the city, and that was it. Like, they didn't have to give you good customer service because you had nowhere else to go if you wanted to have a phone. And so anyways, next Saturday, this coming up Saturday is Kimber. And then, now, a week from tonight was supposed to be Nick Fox. However, his parents are going to be in town visiting. He will be unable to make it. And so that is unfortunate. However, he said he could hardly wait until, I guess, October. Holy crap. Be the snow flying by then for me. And so anyway, that's about that. Amy, of course, as I said, a mermaid and the world's only Heaventologist. I think call her a death coach, you know what I mean? And so much more too. Amy's a very multifaceted, complex person that is not easily pigeonholed or, how do you call, how she always says, labels are for cans or jars or whatever like that. There's no label. There is no label that could do justice to Amy Cavanaugh, but Death Coach is one of the things that she does very well. If you need help, she can help you die. Okay, there you are. I always said, don't say that out loud, or I have to help. I have to go testify. You know what I mean? Your Honor, I was just helping them die. Oh, I see. Okay, I didn't mean it that way, but she is a good person to talk to in the time approaching and following the death of somebody, including yourself. Although following, she can connect with you a different way than she does before your death. But either way, she does. She can help family, friends, and all of this kind of thing. I guess we lost Burt Reynolds here the other day too. There they go. We're having that batch of famous people kicking the bucket now. All of a sudden, they're all okay, here we go. They tend to go like that in little groups. What a motley crew. John McCain, Aretha Franklin, Burt Reynolds. Interesting. That's an interesting train ride to heaven right there, you know what I mean? Anyway, get back to Amy. She's like I said, you can't define her. She's part everything. And like if we're talking that's an interesting. So we say multiracial. So multi-spiritual, maybe multi-something. She does a little bit of everything, but you can find her here all the time, or go to Facebook and find her. Look her up. You know what I mean? Google it. But it's she has a Facebook called AMYR Maid, which is like it's a twist on the spelling of Amy and mermaid. So mermaid, but spelled MYRMAID. Mermaid, MYRMAID. I don't ever know how to say that without confusing the hell out of anybody. But let's go find out how's Amy doing tonight. Hi, Amy.
Oh, hi. Why not? That was Roma. I'm exhausted, but
Me too.
the show must go on. The show must go on. I am so tired. I can't even.
Oh my God. It's not. Maybe it's not just me then. I wonder if there's some phenomenon going on because.
Well, the season is changing. Well, first of all, last weekend I was in Colorado. And then so part of it is that.
Colorado.
Still there? Oh yeah. In Colorado.
So what was going on in Colorado?
Well, I went to a concert at Red Rocks, which is beautiful. It's this amphitheater that's built into the Red Rocks.
Oh yeah. Cool.
I flew into Colorado Springs where my friend lives, and we went to Garden of the Gods, like where all the rocks are shaped like things.
Oh, cool.
They're like shaped like.
Oh, like hearts or like all kind, like Jesus in the toast and all.
Right, like that. Exactly. Like what you usually do, like when you drive through the desert or whatever, but they're already named for you. And then I went to my first dispensary. That was exciting. Oh my. The gummies. They're not
Oh. Nice.
I was never a big fan of smoking pot. It always made me really paranoid.
Yeah.
But now they've like refined the whole thing so much. You can get something for every occasion.
Well, keep the phone right there. Keep the phone right there, wherever it is right now.
Hopefully I can have the energy to keep it right there.
I gotcha.
Yeah, indica.
Oh yeah,
indica. The kind that,
right.
It's real heady high, and I don't like that.
So the indica is the body buzz. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I should keep that. I know that, but I always forget it, and I need to know that if I ever happen to get an interview for a pot shop.
That's the big thing. It's the indica and the sativa.
Oh, for sure. And there's a way to tell. There's a way to tell, like by looking at the leaf, even and whatnot, the flower.
Right.
But I don't know how the heck they could tell by just looking at the dry herb, if you know what I mean. But it must take an expert.
No, everyone out there is an expert.
Well, it's an expertise. It's an expertise that some people no longer have to hide. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was interesting, and so I was worried about bringing it back on the plane because I had heard, because as soon as you cross into
state line,
go into the TSA. No, actually, as soon as you go into TSA, the TSA lines, you're no longer you're in federal jurisdiction. You're not in Colorado anymore. But apparently, I Googled her, and I was like really scared to bring it back because they were to find it. And the last time I was at the airport, like dogs came by, but apparently the dogs are trained to find explosives, not like
right.
not gummy bear. So I was able to bring them home, which was fantastic because they're just fantastic.
Nice.
Should probably well, if I took one now, I would just fall asleep. But I guess from all that my daughter met me out there. Oh, excuse me. Oh God, what do I am? So there was a time zone difference and 6 a.m. flights and all this stuff. And I bought a car. I finally bought a car.
Wow.
Finally bought a car. I haven't
Yay.
had a car in 2 years. And I just couldn't take it anymore. Something about Ubers skeeved me out.
Right.
And rental cars. What happened was I got bed bugs from a rental car. And I don't know if any of you all have ever had bed bugs, but they are the most disgusting.
You just gave me the
I had to throw out all my furniture, all my upholstered furniture. I had to do everything under the sun. I had to bag everything up. This has been going on now for a couple of months. And I finally realized I got it from a rental car. And apparently Cincinnati, be careful. Cincinnati is the bed bug capital of the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No.
Making a huge resurgence because DDT is illegal, which it probably should be. But it's making a huge resurgence. And if you think about it, like as you know, I spend a lot of time in hotels. That's going to change as well because I was thinking about it. If you think once something like this happens to you, I mean, and I can't even, it's been an absolute living hell. Start rethinking your life. And if you think about what happens when you stay in a hotel, it's really disgusting.
Yeah. Well, the Gordon Ramsay did that show for a few years or whatever, and he would go to hotels and he would get out the blue light and everything and show the mattress and all the carpet and oh my God, like for the biohazards, you know what I mean?
Well, I've become an expert now on finding it, and I got to tell you, every single hotel room I go in, I find remnants of something, or bed bug eggs, or it's just a lot. Anyway, and then I started thinking about sitting in Ubers, and you don't know who sat there before you. You don't know. The whole thing is just like, it was just too much. There was too much contact with humanity. So I went out and bought a car. Sunday night after work, I was exhausted, but I just went and bought a car like that. And I got a Volkswagen. Actually, I got a scandalous car. I got a Volkswagen diesel station wagon. Remember the Volkswagen scandal?
Yeah.
With the emissions. There's nothing wrong with the cars. It was just the Volkswagen ride. So they were a really good deal. But they're scandalous. And they're really good cars because the station wagons are actually made in Germany. And it has a sunroof that goes all the way from the front of the car back to the station wagon part. So it's almost like a winter convertible. So I've always driven convertibles. So that was exciting. So a lot's happened.
Yeah. So how much? So the gummy bear thing, like so. I mean, you in your past, once or twice in your life, you probably smoked a joint because you know well enough that you don't like it.
Yeah, I smoked a lot of pot. I would fake it.
And
But then I would. I finally learned to fake it, but because I didn't want to be. Didn't want to not be cool. But anyway, go ahead. What's the question?
yeah, so contrast. You know what you now. I also understand that years back, whatever pot was being around and whatnot is probably nothing like what's out there now. But contrast that with the edibles, and
The
is
edibles
there?
are much stronger. The edibles are much, much stronger.
Oh, really?
You have to be really careful. Apparently, you have to take them with food, or else they don't work.
Oh.
And they're much stronger.
Huh.
My friend got the sativa kind, and she took 10 milligrams, which is the Colorado state tested dose. So that sounds like it wouldn't even be enough, if like the state saying, oh, this is the ultimately would have taken 3. But a friend of mine took 1, and she said she was so dizzy and she was hallucinating. I took a half of the other kind, and I just felt really, 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 really relaxed. And I was staying in an Airbnb with these other people, and there was all this drama going on with these people that, like, I didn't even really know them. And this guy was trying to drag me into all this drama, but I didn't even know what she was talking about, and I didn't even care. Usually you'd be like, everyone gets pulled into, when a story's all juicy and everything, you get pulled in like you're watching a TV show or something. But I just, couldn't be bothered with, whatever. And it was just very, very, every little ache and pain was gone. And it was just very relaxing.
Huh, interesting. And so how about now of course I understand that, it'll be different in Canada because everything costs different in Canada, but so what, and I know they've got it in all kinds of different foods and everything that you can get. I think, do they have food eateries, actual public places where you can go and
yeah,
right?
We didn't go to any of those, but
no.
They do have them.
So this bag of gummy bears, so hot for whatever.
$29. It was $29 for 12 of them. But of the $29, 10 of it was tax.
Oh wow! Hey, and no wonder
So
Colorado's doing so well.
Because it was all because here's the thing: is in Colorado, the residents just get it the old-fashioned way from a person.
That's right. That's right.
The dispensaries, because I went to 3 of them during my time there, were just full of tourists. You had to show your ID, and then they give you a number, and then you could go in and you could shop. And some places the people were helpful, some places. There's one place I went, the guy was really snotty, like we were supposed to know every little thing. I'm like, look, here's my out-of-state driver's license. I'm 60 years old. Give me for not being
up
minute.
Yeah.
Like I asked for gummy bears. We don't have gummy bears because the children. And it's like, okay, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want leaf. I want. So anyway. So
I don't want smokables, buddy. Don't be an asshole. Yeah.
He was being a real asshole. And I was trying to explain to him, when I would smoke, I used to get really paranoid and be like, you lying? He's paranoid? I was like, yeah, everybody wants to be paranoid. He was just a little prick, like this little hipster, whatever. Colorado's an interesting place because it really has, like the pot culture has almost like taken over everything.
Wow.
It's almost like too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, probably like anything else, things will level off. You know what I mean? Like so it swings all. It'll. You know what I'm saying? Like things will settle down.
Other states, every state is different, and it'll be interesting to see how Canada does it. For example, in Washington State, where my daughter lives, they have recreational.
Yeah.
But it was legalized right at the same time. I mean, this is interesting. Like, they had just stopped having state-run liquor stores. Right? They're just getting rid of state-run liquor stores. And they're legalizing marijuana on the same breath. So all the people that used to work for the liquor board became the marijuana people. So they were running it more like alcohol. It just doesn't make sense. So Colorado apparently has like the model recreational marijuana program. It was wildly successful, but I thought it was a little too much. Like everything. It just seemed like everything was. But maybe that's just what they're going to be for right now. I mean, it's certainly helping their economy, which was kind of flat a couple years ago. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Canada, how much they regulate it, how much the state is involved, and how. I thought Colorado was way too commercial, but maybe that was just because I was a tourist.
Well, I mean, I think the last I saw, and I admittedly have not been keeping, close tabs on it. Every now and then I Google it to see are we still on track or what. And I find, not a lot of information, but, the way that they wound up having to, well, in the old days in the United States, you guys used to be able to get laws passed and like it would be a little bit of give and take. If you wanted to get the thing passed, you might have to, this side might have to add or take out certain language or provisions or whatever, right? And so, in order for it to fly here, Trudeau had to agree to, make some amendments to the legislation he actually wanted, and this would give a little bit of provincial control in that, like for example, for home growing, provinces would be able to go ahead and make laws that would outlaw that part of it. You know what I mean? And so it kind of would force you into the retail. The only way to legally do it is to go to a store. And so then that would be like with probably the provincial government really having a heavy hand in the till, if you know what I mean, and them wanting to block off your ability to, get it any other way legally, including growing it yourself. And so, from what I understand, so what we'll see is that we'll see, some of the right wing areas might wind up having more restrictive situations than other provinces, and so in a way it'll be a little bit like each state having its own law, and then there being an overriding federal law, and but at least in our case, the overriding federal law equals it's legal, not it's illegal, and you have to rely on the federal government to turn the other way or whatever and leave you alone. But I'm hoping.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous the way it's ridiculous that.
Well, what I worry about is that, again, with provincial government change, I guess, and even federal, but it would be a little bit harder maybe to get this thing changed, but is that, it'll be like the old, this one gets in and then does that law, and then the other one gets in and then puts that law back in, and then the other one gets in and then does that law. You know what I mean? And, like, that's no way to run anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that once you have a fundamental situation where a law is enacted, they should have a law that once a law is enacted, small revisions perhaps to clean it up, but the overall intent of it, should fly. People cannot be, that's like an employer changing their whole company policies every time, every time you turn around, and you're just never going to know. Like, what day is it today? I mean, is this okay to do, or is this not okay to do? You know what I mean? And it would just be insanity, right?
Yeah, which is what it is. I mean, which is what it is, because if you think about it, well, let me tell you something that happened that almost happened to my daughter, and it happened to a friend. They went about 5 years ago, and Washington every year. Dave Matthews plays in this place called the Boards, and Seattle, it's Washington. And one year, the DEA decides to go dressed like, well, they're not hippies anymore, whatever, hipsters, whatever. Right. Anyway, they had they went with some friends. This girl was a teacher. She made pot brownies and was selling them at this Dave Matthews Day until the feds came and raided them. My daughter had just graduated law school and just passed the bar, and she took the sign down out of the window or something, and she was almost held as an accessory somehow.
Oh my God!
They confiscated all this stuff. This woman was a teacher. She never got out of it, and they waited the brownies and the pan and everything. So because they all weighed so much, she was charged with trafficking.
Oh, my God.
That was a brand new car, and she never got it back under the asset forfeiture laws.
Yeah.
And she could never be a teacher again, and she still has a felony on her record.
Oh,
for
my
something
God.
that if she was in a different... Now it's legal,
Yeah.
So,
hey, tell me all about it. Like, that's the next thing that I'm interested in them doing is, doing the broad sweeping pardons for everybody that got, that had an old pot conviction.
It's just, I don't want to get on my high horse, but there's nothing more despicable in our country than the prohibition on marijuana. It has caused so many people
lives to be destroyed.
Lives to be destroyed. If they want to figure out what the number one problem in urban communities are, it would be the marijuana. It would, because if a rich white person gets arrested,
yes, that's right.
They get a fine, they get a fine or something. They get a fine somehow. When rich white people get arrested for marijuana, it's a parking ticket. When poor people, especially poor black people, get arrested for it, it becomes a felony.
Yeah.
And because they can't pay their fines, and they get arrested again, and they end up in the system.
Well, I mean, there's people that, really in the most extreme way, got really detrimentally affected by the three-strike law, and so, their third strike might have been like a single joint, but that's it. They're done, and they go for life. and it's outrageous. I know that there's a lot of activity around. Come on, let's get real, people. Do we really want to pay all of this money? To keep these people and feed them and house them for the whole rest of their lives, when they've been a non-violent.
What started happening in America was that police departments saw that they could get a lot of money from the asset forfeiture laws. So if they seized people, like this girl, she had a brand new Forerunner, like a $40,000, $30,000 car that was now the property of the police department that arrested her.
Crazy.
And they sold it and got the money. And that was just one of many. So a lot of police departments were actually even engaging in these setups. Like what happened to this girl was basically a setup. They were dressed like hippies or whatever you call them in this day and age, and were like hanging out in the concert community. It's like a 2-day concert, and everyone can't. It's a festival.
Right.
It was total entrapment.
Yeah.
They do it all the time. They do it all the time. In America, pharmaceutical companies, law enforcement, the private prison industry, which is huge in America, are all put billions and millions of dollars in these politicians' pockets on both sides. You would think that this was you would think that the Democrats would be for legalization, and but they're not either, because they're getting so much money from these. They've been convinced that it's a gateway drug and everything. Whatever. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
In this day and age, that is. I mean, clearly, the hypocrisy is just paralyzing, because obviously there's a pharmaceutical issue going on that is killing many people, and that is where there's spotlight and attention desperately needed. But here we go. You know what I mean? Like how much money are they all making from the pharmaceutical kickbacks, or whatever the deal is, contributions or whatever. Like, I'd love to see somebody get in and make it against the law for these special interest groups to give more than $50 donation or something. You know what I mean? Really.
Totally. It's just not. It's despicable.
It's despicable.
And there's still such a stigma. There's still such a stigma. Did you see this week? Elon Musk was on, Joe Rogan. I don't know if you know who he is, but he does these fabulous podcasts. And
is he the guy that used to do the Fear Factor show?
Yes, it's him. And he was like a comedian and stuff. But now he does these podcasts, and he gets everybody under the sun. And this week he had Elon Musk on, and Elon Musk took a hit off a joint because he smokes pot, and he's in California where it's legal. And there was so much outrage. And it was on both sides. It wasn't, I would think that it would be like the Republicans. Mm-hmm. And but it was on both sides. They were like, oh my God, this guy, he's a corporate leader. It's like nobody would care if nobody's looking in his medicine cabinet, and nobody would care if he was sitting there drinking a martini.
No, I know, and again, alcohol is a lot more dangerous too. But do you remember back in the day, Amy? Like, I found this to be true in my little scenario. Is as I was much younger, it was like a deep, like you just didn't unless your own immediate little pot smoking group of friends, nobody else you would dare to let them know that you smoke pot and, all of this kind of thing. And, I come to, as I got a little older, you start to come to find out that even like some of the parents of your friends that you were so deathly, they're all like potheads and so that like so many more people were smoking pot, and yet there was this idea that there was this societal outrage about it and what's the word, like disapproval. But it's because everybody felt they needed to keep it secret. So while everybody is keeping it secret, nobody realized, just how many people were smoking it, kind of thing, right? And it's almost like, as time has gone on, like even being like with the true numbers around people that have been like sexually molested or whatever, it's a much bigger number than anybody thought because nobody would tell, And so I was always amazed as I got older to find out, like, you smoke too? You got to be kidding me, you know what I mean? And before you know it, like, there's a majority of people really, but publicly, they would all, probably say out loud how horrible that is, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's still such a stigma tied to it. It's ridiculous. And it creeped into, if you look at the whole history of Prohibition, I don't want to get on my high horse about it, but if you look at the whole history of Prohibition, it was caused because DuPont wanted to sell nylon, and the hemp was more durable than nylon, but he had to get rid of the hemp, and they needed a way to arrest black people.
Yeah.
So it just swooped right through. Everyone thought they were doing the right thing, and since then, I insist that, when they used to grow hemp everywhere, it was in the water system and everything because it was just in our whole ecosystem. If people didn't have cancer and people didn't have all these weird diseases that they have now, and I don't even know. I don't even know, but it's just ridiculous, and it's ridiculous for me. It's ridiculous to see. I was really shocked this week. I don't know. Everyone's against. For some reason, everyone's against Elon Musk. I don't really know what happened, but something happened, and he's like the anti-Christ. And they're like out to get him. There was just all this outlet. And if you could watch the podcast, even though it's a podcast, there's video that goes along with it. He didn't even inhale. You could see him take the thing, and he takes a hit, and the smoke's just come right out of his mouth. So he didn't even inhale.
Yeah.
He was just doing it to be like socially, to bond with.
Well, the beautiful thing, so let's go full circle back to gummy bears, and then let's figure out what we'll do. But the beautiful thing is, like, a person can have their own little gummy bears that have zero THC, and they can just pretend that they're getting high by eating. Like, oh no, I can't smoke it, but I have my gummy bears, And they could pop a gummy bear that's like just a gummy bear, and everybody will thinks they're okay because they're doing it, but there was no way to fake smoking a joint. Other than, like you say, like not inhaling it, but nowadays with all the edibles and everything like this, which reminds me, because placebo effect, right? I remember there was this guy in high school called Morris, and he was like this Lebanese guy that was like your total. You know what I mean? Like, just like your total. Why is Vinnie Barbarino name coming to mind? Although Vinnie Barbarino, that's even dumber. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so this guy, you would go like a stoned Vinnie Barbarino that was not really stoned. We could go and roll up a joint of like parsley and say, hey, got some really good stuff, and then they give it to the guy, and he would be baked for the whole rest of the day, and he'd be, oh, that was great. You know what I mean? And like we could take a little piece off of a cigarette, cut out a little square off a cigarette package, put a little outline on it or whatever like that, and then tell him it's like acid, and he would be blitzed for the whole rest of the day, and he didn't have nuts. You know what I mean? He didn't have. It was like either he was faking it or he was totally placebo effect. You know what I mean? A cheap date. Really cheap.
Terrible. I wonder what Morris is doing now.
I know, right? Well, it's funny because that brings to mind one of the funniest things that ever happened in school. We had this teacher. Her name was Ms. Frappier, and she was very cool. And she was an English. This is high school, so she was the English teacher. She was my English teacher one year, and she was cool. Possibly one of the coolest teachers that I ever had. And so we were reading this reading this book, but each person kind of had to take a part, if you know what I mean, and read that part. So the teacher was somebody was reading, and it was right at the moment where like this husband like throws his wife over the balcony, and I don't know why in my mind it's like she was like a wheelchair-bound woman, or he was. I don't know what it was, but for me it's like there's a wheelchair involved in this story somehow. But he throws his wife over the stair banister and to her death, basically. Morris all of a sudden starts laughing, because he's reading and he starts laughing, which causes the teacher to start laughing. She could not stop laughing. She had to leave the classroom. And I always thought she is buzzed all the time. I was sure that she was stoned all the time, right? And I'm pretty sure to this day I was right about that. But one of the funniest times in my life was Morris starts laughing at this most inappropriate time in the story when the man is killing his wife, and then she has to leave the classroom. I think because she knows the Morris too. You know what I mean? Morris, the stoned / not stoned Lebanese dude that's he's better than any character somebody could write. You know what I mean? And so that reminds me of that. But anyway, where are we at? What's going on with people? What are you in the chat room, Amy?
I am.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. There's Corrine. Hi, Rachel. How are you? I was not looking at the chat room. I was just no distractions. You know what I mean? No, because I'm easily distracted right now, apparently, and so I was just wanting to check out what was going on in the chat room. And who's 302? I should know who 302 is. Maybe that's Jackie. Is that Jackie? I don't know who 302. I should know who 302 is. But anyway, if 302, are you trying to talk? Do you want to talk to us, or what? Are you going to do a reading or two tonight, or what are you going to do, Amy?
If people, I don't really have anything up my sleeve.
Yeah.
But if someone calls in for a reading,
I know.
Certainly give a reading.
I predict that you are not wearing sleeves. All right. Well, mind you, you're in a colder area now, but I mean, I don't think you're not a sleeve-wearing person, Amy.
I actually have a flannel nightgown on right now.
Oh wow!
So I do have sleeves on, but that's rare. It's just
that's why I'm not.
The windows open.
I have got a granny sweater, which is actually more like a wool zip-up hoodie, granny blanket, I'm cold, and it's only just turned September, and it's outrageous. I'm offended deeply.
Yeah, we're having a little cold snap. We're definitely having a cold snap.
Yeah.
Oh, why? But we are.
Yeah, sucks totally. So, it's 3:02. If you're wanting to talk to us, if you could like press one on your phone, or one, even if you happen to press one and say hello or whatever, that would be fine too. Or you're just listening. Okay, they pressed their voice, so that means that they wanna. I heard that. It means that they want to. I gotta start fixing because now I'm wearing this. My cord from my headset is like rubbing up against the zipper, and it's annoying the heck out of me, and I don't know if it's being heard. But anyway, what if we take a little song break, and we'll see what the heck we're going to do. We did an hour of marijuana, which is great. You guys better get used to it, because as it becomes legal here, you know what I mean, it'll probably be talked about a little bit at Curious Times. And I promise that if I can get my hands on some, even if I only ever smoke one more joint in my life, it's going to be live on the air, live on the air on the webcam, and I can just like celebrate the liberation from the repressive laws that prevented good people from good medicine, right? So we'll do a quick song, and then we'll come and we'll talk to 3:02, and then we'll figure out what we're doing after that. And I'm just going to do my little scroll it all the way, and wherever it stops, I'm going to pick here, we'll do this one. We'll do this one because it's like I'm an old lady. I ain't laughing right at this moment, but I am an old lady, and so we'll do Old Laughing Lady, and we'll be back after that. What?
Don't call pretty Peggy, she can't hear you no more. Don't leave no message round her back door. They say the old laughing lady's been here before. There's a fever on the freeway, blacked out tonight. There's a slipping on the stairway, just don't feel right. There's a rumbling in the bedroom and a flashing of light. There's the old laughing lady, everything is alright. There's the old laughing lady, everything is alright.
Makes me wonder if they're going to bury that guy with a whoops. Pardon me. Stop. They're going to bury that guy with a harmonica. You know what I mean?
Now he got married. Him and Daryl Hannah got married like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, how do you like them apples? I had not heard that at all. Very good.
Go figure.
Must be what, like some legal reason for it or what? Like, 'cause
I know. I wonder why.
Got to have something to do with taxes or money or something. You know what I mean?
Hope he's not sick.
That was my thought too. But I mean, these, you can have things. I couldn't believe if it's really true that Aretha Franklin died without a freaking will. Oh my God. Can't imagine that. But anyway, because why wouldn't you want to, if for no other reason than to keep people from fighting and all that crazy stuff around it? You know what I mean?
At least with Aretha, it's not like Prince where all these people were showing up and saying that they were his kid.
Yeah, right. She had her first kid when she was 12. Now she was 70 something, so her first kid is like 66 or something by my math, or whatever crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, holy crap. Or she got pregnant when she was 12, or anyhow, it was like pretty close to that, and I'm like, wow, that is crazy, right?
12? I hadn't heard that.
Well, maybe it's not true.
I'm sure it is.
It was like I was reading about her tough early life,
Yep, she was 12 when she had her first child.
Yeah. Good old Google.
Wait, some places say that she's 14, but either way, super young.
Yeah, crazy.
Clarence, a boy.
Yeah. So anyway. Okay. Neil Young. I always it's like totally harmonica man. You know what I mean? And so I always wondered that, like some gold-plated harmonica or something like this in his coffin. Well, who even goes in a coffin anymore? I don't even know.
Aretha, and she kept changing her clothes.
I know, right? That was the funniest thing. Oh my God! The only I imagine like for someone like Cher, because my biggest beef when I went to Cher came to Edmonton. And well, I had a couple of beefs because I wound up behind a group of guys that were just the most obnoxious gay men I've ever come across in my life, and they just were obnoxious, and I couldn't see nothing because all they stood and blah blah blah, and they were rude to me, and I'm all I don't care if you're gay, I care that you're rude. And but the most annoying thing about that concert, besides those guys that were blocking my enjoyment, was like really most of the show, I may as well have been at home watching TV because most of the show was like old clips running on the big screen while she was doing costume changes. You know what I mean? Wardrobe changes. And like
Right.
she'd come out, do a song, and then wardrobe change, and we'd be watching a half an hour on the big Videotron thingy or whatever. You know what I mean? It was just ridiculous. Elton John was a much better concert for having for him being stage presence and everything like that. It was good. Anyway, so let us go and let us go and. So I now know that Rachel from Australia is wanting to talk to you, and then 302. I don't know if 302 is Jackie or what, but let's go get Jackie, if that's Jackie. We'll see if that's Jackie. Is that Jackie? Oh, hang on. Okay, try this again. Okay, this is not working well for me. Okay, there. Jackie.
Chris, are you smoking pot?
No, I'm not. That's the problem. See, that's the real problem right there.
Well, you have me wanting gummy bears, damn you.
Well, that's not my fault. Amy's the one that brought up gummy bears. You know what I'm saying? So don't blame me.
Okay, it is Jackie.
Yes. So how's Jackie doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Well, I'm almost convinced. Pretty good. I'm almost convinced. That's that's one step better than it couldn't be better.
No. I'm hanging in.
Good. So what do you want? What do you got there for Amy? What can?
Well, I wanted to ask about my finances.
Uh-huh.
Okay, hold on. Hang on just 1 second here. I gotta
Please stand by. Shift into Oracle mode.
Into Oracle mode, right? So okay, what am I going to say here? All right, your finances. Since let's see, I knew I always have a hard time coming up with the words for the feels. Feel like I sense that you're stuck. That you're stuck, like in some kind of rut, and are sort of getting overcome with some self doubt. That is going to directly impact your finances. And it's not as simple as it's never as simple as it's never as simple as it sounds. But I think it's critical that you change your perspective, not necessarily on your finances, but maybe change your perspective on what am I trying to say? On just changing your perspective on the whole concept of work and money and things like that, so that it lightens a little bit. It feels very, very heavy. The situation feels very, very heavy. So because it's so heavy, it's hard to move. It's you don't realize it. You don't realize as we take on these burdens when things in our life start to become burdensome and start weighing us down. So I think it's critical to more so than the job and the money and all of those things. They're there, but you're slowing down.
Uh-oh. Amy. Amy got muted. Okay, you're slowing down.
Down? Okay, sorry
Yeah.
about that. I don't know how that happened. Okay.
It sometimes just happens.
Okay. So now I'm trying to I don't know if any of this is making any sense. I'm not exactly sure how you can lighten it, but it's critical. It's critical to somehow lighten the load. I don't know if, is it that you have a job that you're not happy with? Because it's not. I can sense that it's not really finance. Like it's coming out as being finances, but there's some greater dissatisfaction that's just slowing the whole boat down. So is dissatisfaction as far as the way that you are making a living.
Well,
Go ahead.
I have like 3 jobs now. I did have 4. Now I have 3.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Well, that explains slowing down.
one of them, I changed careers, and I'm having difficult time because I'm not licensed yet, and it takes at least 2 years to get licensed, and you make crap money when you're trying to get licensed because you're working under somebody else's license. And then so I'm doing that, and then I have 2 other jobs. So I think it'll get better once I get licensed, but
Yeah, but license is still, I mean, if you're saying that the problem is that this move that you've gotten yourself into, even though like 2 years can go by in the blink of an eye if you're happy and engaged, but if you're dissatisfied and frustrated and all those things, it'll go by really, really slow. So you somehow find something. And, if these are the jobs that you need in order to pay your dues, in order to get the license and move on to your next career, critical to find some way to make light of it, like whistle while you work kind of thing, to just make it lighter because it just feels so heavy. And
well,
now I understand that. I mean, it must be physically exhausting because if you've got 3 jobs or 4 jobs, just getting to them all ends up being everything's such a burden right now. So there's got to be something.
well, it's the subject matter that's heavy. It's because it's counseling, and so that part is heavy, but it's what I went to school for and what I want to do. But I mean, it's not, it's not going to be like happy and light all the time, but
It can be. It can. I mean, because when I used to do my hospice work, which seems like it would be really heavy and depressing, it wasn't because, well, for one thing, it was volunteer work. I wasn't. When you are getting your money from what you have a passion for, sometimes that can be a difficult learning curve. So perhaps, there's obviously a reason you decided to go into counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And while it is heavy, I don't think that, I don't really think it's the subject matter that's weighing this heavy. It's everything together. It's everything together. I just sense, I know I'm tired, but I sense your exhaustion and frustration from the whole situation. There's got to be something, there's got to be some sort of shift. There's got to be some sort of shift. There's just some sort of way that you can shift your mindset about the whole thing and make it lighter work. It sounds ridiculous to make, to make this into a game when it's something very, very serious. But you've got to lighten it somehow. You've got to lighten the load somehow. Perhaps that you drive to all these are all dogs are they all outside the home? Excuse me. Are they all outside the home? So you have to drive to the okay. So what do you do when you're in the car?
I usually either have silence or sometimes I listen to music, sometimes I have silence, and sometimes I listen to NPR.
Okay. I suggest not listening to NPR because that's just more heaviness. That's just more heaviness. You just, it's just too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
Try to find, perhaps if you could listen to like a meditation or just something. There's got to be something to and even listening to music isn't always a good idea if you're just listening to the radio, listening to music, because it's like this song reminds you of this and this song reminds you that. It's just like you're like in your head and it just feels kind of stuck. So perhaps if you could listen to some sort of meditation tape or something inspirational, just something to take the weight, just something to lighten the load.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to have to pay your dues, or else you're going to have to just say, well, this was ridiculous. This was a bad idea. I didn't really mean to go into this. But I'm
not going to do that.
No, so good. So you're going to have to pay your dues.
Yeah, and I'm willing to do that.
But I can tell that you're willing to do it, but it's taking such a toll on you. You've got to find something to lighten the load somehow. So I'm thinking if you could just listen to something that's kind of light and inspirational instead of this NPR. I'm sure they're talking about something, more than likely it's political, more than likely it's negative. It just adds to the other negative. I'm sure that in your counseling work, the stories that you hear are sometimes just overwhelming, and there's just too much. It's just weighing on you. It's weighing on you too much. And also when you get home, if there's some way to there's got to be a place where you can go where there's no worry and there's no fear and there's no frustration. Whether that's the bathtub, whether that's taking a walk, whether that's exercise, you need some place to escape from. You need some place to escape from all of this.
Yeah, I do like to exercise, and that's actually one of my jobs. But when I am working, doing jazzercise for pay, that's a little stressful because you have to make sure everything's working and you have to be happy and motivating.
Right. Okay. So
I think I need to get to class more, but not teach.
Yeah. So just go to some class. You need some escape. You need some escape. It's got to be. It's not going to be like going on a cruise or something. Or something like that. If they need to be small, they need to be small because you have very little time, and they need to be easily accessible. So the exercise thing sounds good, or perhaps now that the weather.
How about wine?
Wine is fine. Wine's fine too. Just something, gummy bears, anything, just something.
Wine and gummy bears.
Yeah, this rat race that you're in because it's slowing you down and it's frustrating, and it's also you went in, you made this career change for a reason, and you're almost like denying yourself the satisfaction that you were supposed to get from it just because, you're in this, period, and it's making the time go slow. It's making the time go slower. It's making the time go slower. So if you can find some escape, whether, going to exercise class instead of teaching, because it's two totally different things. You can find some little places where you're not responsible for anything or anyone and get some moments of peace. I think you're going to feel much better about your, I think you're just going to feel much better about your circumstances. They won't weigh so much. When they don't weigh so much, you won't worry about them because they're all solvable and it's all being resolved. But the problem is that time takes time, and when we get slowed down and bogged down by these things, time goes slower. So you need some tricks to kind of speed up time so that you will be to this part where your career will be sustainable, where you'll be making a living wage, and you won't be just living with these burdens and the frustrations. So that's really what I urge, is for you to find some little respites from your circumstances, just so that you can lay them down for a little bit, because they will be much more manageable.
Okay.
And
awesome.
Time will speed up, and you'll be to where you want to be quicker.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Well, keep us posted.
I will. I already went down from 4 jobs to 3, so that's, a good thing.
That is a good thing. Yeah, that is a very good thing. Sometimes we can just get so, it's interesting, because I have to take on another job, and I just have to be really careful about what that job is going to be, so that it's not, it's not self-defeating.
Yeah.
But it can't be overwhelming. I mean, life is so much. It's so much. Yeah. It's very heavy. Sometimes it's very heavy, and especially if you are, you don't have a partner, and you're just doing it all alone. It just gets very, very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And exhausting. And that exhaustion plays out, and in other ways, when we're tired, that's when our fears come out, and we start almost manufacturing. Even though the situations are very real, we sort of lean into the fear about the situation instead of leaning into the solution, or just realizing this is just part of, I'm just passing through this. This is not the way my life is going to be. But when we get fearful like that, time slows down, and we lose our range of motion. So, more exercise, exercise, the wine, whatever, just little respites. Turn the radio off. Turn the radio off. Don't watch the news. Limit your exposure
to negativity.
Exposure to negativity,
especially since that's you might even, because you have a heavy kind of as your main career goal, right, is the heavier of the occupations, right?
Yes.
It's the most emotionally burdensome. And in light of that, although it might sound ridiculous, I was never ever wanted to have any I thought I was plenty funny for everybody anyhow, but I never really went out of my way to watch comedies or anything, but probably, you're better off listening to goofy, funny stuff as much as you can in order to lighten the, you know what I mean, to take your mind off the because especially when you start getting in like I think you said like troubled kids and this like it's going to be overwhelming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're an empath to boot, it makes it that much more difficult. And so you got to find something on the other end of the spectrum to again, everything balanced, right? And so try to bring some balance. And so, either do something like really, I don't know if you have TV or what, but I mean, like, even like into the ridiculous kids, maybe our old-fashioned cartoons. Go on YouTube or something and go find some of the old cartoons we always had when we were kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually keep track of like how much I laugh because and when I come home, like I try to look for something funny like Big Bang Theory or something like to make me laugh.
Yeah, good. I mean, the problem with commercial television though is like then you have like the news update that, crashes you back down. You know what I mean? And like so and I mean, it isn't that much better on YouTube because you got all the sidebars and everything that's like whatever the latest, gossip crap bullshit is and everything. But the idea is, as much as is possible, get yourself a couple of, even if it's like, I don't know, tell them I'm in the tub, okay?
Oh, and by the way, I think you are hysterical.
Okay, listen to More Curious. Take us on the road with you then, But the idea is that if you could get like some, I don't know what's in your car, like if it's a MP3 player plug-in thingy or a CD player thingy or what, but get something light, that's like non-commercial and like funny stuff or whatever, into the, remember the good old clean comedy, the good old clean cut comedians? They were funny as hell too, you know what I mean? And there wasn't like vulgarity that had to be attached to everything that they did,
Right.
And so, like, whatever works for you, though, is just to try to get away from the commercials and the news and you're going to have enough weighing you down. You know what I'm saying? Find an escape in that way and find a couple of gummy bears along the way. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Okay. All right, Jackie. Good luck.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sure, keep us posted.
All right. Good night.
All right. Peace out. Okay, so now let's go to Australia, all the way to the other side, when they're coming into summer now, lucky ducks. And
oh, wow. Must be nice.
I know. And okay, Rachel's already unmuted. She unmuted her damn self, and so very good. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah, we are coming into summer at last after a long, cold winter. So, but it's
just look forward to a long, cold winter.
You're getting me a long, cold winter. Oh, my God.
Okay, so we don't get snow, but I tell you what, it does get cold, especially where I live, so.
Hey, listen, I have appreciation for the fact that whatever you're acclimated to, the 20 degrees colder is still cold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I've been in London and it's 7 degrees and it's colder than our 15 degrees. Sorry, warmer than our 15 degrees. Does that make sense? So it's all about humidity, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, what's up, Doc?
Okay. Amy, I'm so glad you're on today because I just read your little spiel and how it's saying that, you deal with death. And just last Saturday, a lady who I've, grown very close to passed away. She'd been, can you guys hear me? Because it's...
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, that's cool. She's like I suppose I got to know her kids very well. They're my good friends, actually. Her son is I work for her son, but he's also a very close friend, and I got to know her that way. And she's been sick for a while. You know, she's had a few ailments for quite some time, but then she just caught us off guard and passed away last Saturday. And yeah, we're just still struggling. I mean, everyone struggles when someone dies, but we're struggling because it was such a shock. And, you know, like, I'm doing everything I can to help her husband and her son and her daughter and the family, and we're just struggling. Like, was she happy to go? Like, we're just...
Yeah, she wanted to go that. She wanted to go that way. That's the really important thing to understand is that everyone dies exactly the way they want to die. And it doesn't sound like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't mean it as literally, like, you know, as literally as it comes out, because but we have people have so much control over their death. And while she certainly didn't mean to cause everyone so much anguish, it was just the way that she preferred to go, instead of lingering and you know, and dragging it out and becoming a burden and becoming less and less vital and things like that. But it's such a shock. It's become such a shock. It isn't even just that. There's more than just grief. There's more than just grief going on. There's just this shock. There's like a void. There's like a void where the person once stood, and it's not like they slip out when someone, you know, dies after a long illness, where they slip out of your life to the point where you almost have a sense of relief when they die. When things happen like this, whether it's because of an accident or just a sudden death like this, when you're not expecting it, there's just so it's important with respect to grief, and I urge you to share this with family as well, to really break down the actual emotions that you're experiencing, and because the grief part is good. The grief part is good, and it's manageable. The other part is where it can start getting a little bit sticky, because it's not grief, and we try to heal it by grieving. Really just, it's really just, I can't even think of what the word is for it. It's almost like PTSD or something. It's almost, you know, it's just like shock and almost like you.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Feel like you've been a victim of a crime, as opposed to because so it can't be resolved by grieving, because it's not really grief. So if you can just separate, you know, I think it's really important to. Another problem is when you've got that shock, like that, it kind of shocks your system. You kind of get frozen. You almost get frozen. So it's almost to the point where you can't breathe. You can't connect with her, because you're just physically shaken by the speed with which this happened. So urge you to let go of it to the extent you can let go of it. Let go of the shock part. Let go of the, know that the universe know that the universe works for everyone's highest good, and this is the way it was supposed to be. While it wasn't, optimal it wasn't the way you envisioned it. It was the way that it was supposed to be. If you could let go of that, then you'll be able to, first of all, you'll be able to connect with her, and she'll be able to reassure you and her family that this was exactly as it was supposed to be, and that that she's in a better position. You know, she's just in a better, I don't want to say she's in a better place. That's cliche, but she's where she wants to be. She got there on her terms, and you know, it's critical for y'all to respect that instead of you know, we
analyzing it.
The stayers get so weird. You know, the stayers, when someone reads the stayers, I don't even know what to call them. We get so weird, you know, because we have all these expectations of, you know, and I don't want to say this wrong, but it's almost like we just have to take a long, hard look at ourselves and see how absolutely ludicrous it is to think to think that this is anything other than the way it was supposed to be. Now, this doesn't negate the sadness and the grief that you need to go through, but as far as being, it's almost like anger. It's like, you know, like, how dare she leave so quick? You know, it's almost like we're pissed at the person. It's understandable, but as long as the focus is on that, you're not going to be able to grieve. And more importantly, you're not going to be able to connect with her. And once you connect with her, it's going to be really helpful in the grieving process, because you'll your spirit will fill that void. Right now, it's almost like your anger and outrage over the circumstance, and those aren't the right words. I just can't think of them.
No. I did say to her son, because he's really blaming himself for not acting quicker. I did say to her son, you know, I think if you really look at it, she died. She spent the last night of her life exactly where she wanted to be, in the arms of the man she loved, in your dad's arms, and she wouldn't want to have died in hospital. And and I'm just hoping I've said the right thing. That's all.
Well, you can't say the wrong thing. You can't say the wrong thing, nor can you say anything that that can fix it. That's the thing. That's the curious thing when someone dies. In fact, almost everything we say seems to be the wrong thing. But if you personally can come to a place of acceptance of the circumstances and let go of the portion of your grief that's angry at her for leaving, you know, how dare you leave us? We still needed you. I think it's gonna create a place where she can connect with you.
Yeah.
The other thing is that everyone is going to go through it differently, and it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard because you go through the whole range of emotions multiple times. You know, like we try to make grief into like this, compartmentalize it, like you have this stage and this stage and this stage and it's over and done. But it doesn't go that way. It's moment to moment. But the critical thing for you and for the rest of them, but really all you can control is you, is to really come to a level of complete acceptance that this was perfectly orchestrated. And because that's going to give you, because until you accept it, she's not going to be able to connect with you. So there's just that void is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So that's what I would urge you to focus on, is acceptance of the circumstances. You don't have to accept her loss yet, because that is tell you grief, but the sooner you can accept the circumstances of her leaving, the quicker you'll be able to get on with the actual work of grieving, which is it's separate process. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense. Thank you for that. That really does make perfect sense. Yeah. Yep.
Because I sense, quite clearly this was not,
no.
She was a very strong woman.
Yep.
Strong-willed and sort of strident, and this was perfectly, and this was perfectly orchestrated. And if it happened any other way, it would come with its own set of circumstances and related emotions. But first and like I said, it's really going to help you. What's really going to be helpful for you and for everyone else is when you start sensing her presence. But as long as but the presence is going to be, the present. When my husband died, after some time went by, and I could look at all the different feels I had over the process, and what it felt like for him to not be there anymore. It felt a lot like when my kids went away to college, which sounds ridiculous, but it was true. Our relationship was never going to be the same.
Yeah.
But it didn't mean that we weren't still going to have a relationship. But as long as you're focusing on that hole, that void, that gaping hole in the middle of the room where she once stood, you're not going to experience her because you're going to be looking in the hole for her, and she's not there.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what I have to say about that. But it's very hard. It's very hard, and it's very sad. I don't mean to trivialize it or to say, oh yeah, just do this, this, and this, and it'll all be better.
No.
Lives were never ever the same, and I think there's an irrational expectation that we're going to get back to normal. Like one day we're going to wake up and everything's going to be normal, and it's never the same. It's never ever the same. But that doesn't mean that can't have moments of that we can't share moments with them and have we just have to relearn things. I think it's especially, I don't want to say, I guess I'll say awkward because I can't think of a different word. When you lose someone who's not a family member. When you lose someone who's not a family member, you almost feel guilty for feeling that. You almost feel guilty, like, why should I be so sad?
Yeah.
When it wasn't my mother, it wasn't my spouse or something. But every loss is different, and every loss is very, very profound. So it's important to honor that and allow yourself to go through the grieving process. Don't just brush it off and try to bounce back. But anyway, I think I'm starting to repeat myself. But
no, that's okay. That's okay. No, everything you've said has helped.
I mean, Amy.
Yeah.
Oh God.
No, no, you haven't repeated yourself at all. You've you've just clarified it because you're right. I feel bad that I'm so shocked at how. I mean, I was close to her, but I am grieving, and it's really had an impact on me. We weren't expecting it, and she's not my mum, but she's the friend of
Right.
two people. She's the mother of two people I am very close to, and
Yeah,
yeah,
every loss is, I mean, exactly. Some people can be profoundly, anytime somebody that is important to us
yeah,
leaves, it affects us profoundly. And a lot of times I think that we try to, we don't deserve to grieve because we weren't that close to them, but each relationship is different, and the grief associated with each loss is different. Not to mention, anytime someone leaves, it brings back a lot of the prior losses as well. So it's really important to be gentle with yourself and honor the feelings, all of them. But what I sense right now is that you and everyone else are not even to grief yet. You're still just kind of in shock that like how did this almost like bewilderment. Like how did this happen? Almost like outrage or something, like that it's not fair.
it's just like, well, how did we miss that? Like, but we were doing everything we could, and then how come that happened so quickly? And even the doctor said, I saw her Monday, her heart was strong. How did this happen? And so
because she's a strong person, and she orchestrated it exactly the way she wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And while it was, it's almost like ripping a Band-Aid off, it like shocks and stings for a bit, but it was the way that she preferred to exit.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes so much sense.
And it's actually good because I've noticed that, like, my husband was afraid to die, and I think he thought he was going to hell, and he hung on. I always tell people that if he had been like milk, he would have been in the refrigerator, like in all those different layers, like, when it starts separating because it says sour and old. He had to leave. I mean, it was the only way healing was going to be accomplished, but he couldn't let go. And it was almost the exact, so it's actually a testimony to her that she lived her life the right way, where she didn't have regrets.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have fear of where she was going. She knew where she was going. She knew how she was going to get there. And didn't feel like she'd be missing out on anything by leaving, because she knew that she could, so that's really, it's like she had her, if you think of all the other alternatives of the ways that she could have gone, there would have been, other complications and doubts and uncertainties. But it's really a testimony, because it's really hard work to die. Really, really, I've been around a lot of people, and one thing I can tell you is that it's really, really hard work. So for her to be able to pull that off is really quite a testimony to a life well lived. Because if you haven't, you've got regrets and whatever else, you don't go that fast.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, like, oh, thank God she went back. It all sounds stupid if you try to say, especially if you try to say it to, someone else who's grieving. It all sounds just ridiculous, and it almost sounds cruel. But when you have some distance from this and are able to look at it, I think that you'll be able to see the beauty in it.
Yeah. No, I'm starting to now. That's for sure. Yeah.
But it takes a while. It takes a while, and if to speed it up is it's you can't speed it up. You can't. It just has to go. It just has to go on its own. It just has to go on its own timeline.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep. No, that sounds good. Yep.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Anyway, well, I'm sorry for your loss. It's always very, very hard, and it's very, very isolating.
Mhm.
It's very
Thanks, Amy.
isolating. So hopefully something
Yeah,
like
I was
this
meant to be at a
down
function
like
on.
Charlie Brown's parents or something.
No. I was meant to be at a function on Saturday night, and I'm usually a very sociable person, and I just left. I couldn't be there. And that's just not me. I just could not be there. I just had to leave. And I'd been with the family that day or the day before, and then I was with the family yesterday, and that's the only place I'm happy to be if I'm not home. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I just don't want to be around other people at the moment.
Yeah,
it's hard.
just take good care of yourself and focus on your breathing because grief houses in the lungs. And it really does take a physical effect on you. So when you start becoming overwhelmed by it, where I just remember sometimes it would just feel so physically heavy. Really focus on your breathing and make sure you take some time to just stop and do some deep breathe, through your nose and out through your mouth, almost like forced breathing because we get so paralyzed by the shock of the loss that we forget to breathe. And I noticed that I noticed a lot of physical symptoms tied to grief. The biggest being an inability to breathe.
Yeah. Yep.
So
that makes sense because my asthma kicked in this morning. I was wheezing all night, so that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah. So really, especially if you're asthmatic, pay very, very close attention to your breathing and make sure that that you take time to breathe, take time to and also just kind of plant your feet on the ground. It's really easy to get lost in time and space because nothing much makes sense. But if you can just find some places where you can just, put your feet in the ground and ground yourself and know that you are still alive and well and take some deep breaths and know that everything's exactly the way,
she wanted
exactly
it.
the way it's supposed to be. Right. And exactly the way she wanted it.
Yeah.
And, you don't want to. My Siri is, my Alexa is just starting to talk out of nowhere. I wonder why. And, okay, we know that, Alexa. Alexa, be quiet.
Hey, I have an experiment for you to do after, like on your own time, because we're going to, as soon as we're done here, we're going to probably cut it because you and I are both ready to just fall over. And I think, but I'm going to remind me to tell you quickly what the experiment is, and then you can try it and then report back to the plenary next time, Amy. Sorry, go ahead. I can't do nothing in the chat room right now, guys, because I'm frozen, locked up, and I don't feel like refreshing again since we're right near the end. So.
Yep.
Anyway, that's it. That's it.
Okay. Thanks so much, Amy. I just can't thank you enough for all that.
Hang in there.
Yeah. No, you've been wonderful help. Thank you.
I love hearing your voice, Rachel. It's always good to hear you.
Thank you, Chris. Oh, you crack me up. You make my day. You make me laugh when I hear you.
How nice. Oh, how nice. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you. It's always interesting.
That's why God must have put me here, you know what I mean? So, okay. Mute your damn self, too, because I can't even do that.
That's fine. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much. Amy, here's your experiment for Alexa. start to now it might be different on the phone one then, because these people, they have these base ones now that run their house, I think, or
Right.
what, you know what I mean? So there's an interesting effect that happens. So like you can say like what, you know, so Alexa, what does CIA stand for, or what's the CIA, or blah blah blah, right? And then you'll get an answer. It should be like Central Intelligence Agency or something like this. Then say, Alexa, do you work for the CIA? And then this is going to like cause some issue, right? And then they're probably going to, Alexa will probably tell you like, I work for, you know, Google or whatever, or I'm then ask like, does Google, and then ask in as many ways as you can think of. I can't remember the exact way, but ask Alexa if Google is cooperating with the CIA. And then what happens is Alexa shuts off. Alexa doesn't want to answer the question. Answer the question, Alexa. It basically is the CIA have Google in their pocket. You know what I mean? And apparently this crashes Alexa.
Oh, I'm sure.
Crashes.
I'm sure
Alexa.
I'll have to try it. But
Give it a try. Remember the good old day? Who was that? It was Donald Blackfox when he had. Was it Alexa or who was the other one? Wasn't there one before Alexa?
Oh, Siri, who's on the Apple.
Siri.
Who's on the iPhone.
Siri. That's right. It was Siri. So Siri was like we did those. I remember like something about like Siri. I peed my pants or something like that, right? Or he said I shit my pants or something like that. And she's like, the nearest Walmart where you could buy underwear. Oh, it was so funny. But anyway, okay, guys. So now here's the deal. Tomorrow, we think Aaliyah Dawn is here. I'll keep you guys updated on that. Melissa Bruce is here Tuesday, Wednesday. Kathleen Moore. We're off Thursday and Friday, and then Kimber is here, and a week from tonight, Nick cannot be here. So that's what's going on. Amy, thanks a billion. Even though you were so tired, I know I'm going to try and get...
Is anyone in the path of the hurricane? Do we have anyone on the phone that's
not that I know of? Yes, if you do, be safe. Everybody, be safe. And if you're going to the corner store, also be safe. And if you're eating gummy bears, be safe. See, I can't trust myself with that because I would probably forget like that it was like pot induced, and I would just like keep eating the gummy bears if they tasted good. You know what I mean? And like one would not. I'd probably OD on gummy bears. You know, and so.
Well, yeah, you definitely have to have respect for them. I think that's one of the big problems, you know, where we hear about these alleged teaspoon and so-called overdoses and stuff, and people are just being foolish with them.
Right.
You know, they're not.
You certainly can't OD smoking it, but you know, I could see where, and I don't know that maybe you know, like you could cause some kind of problem for, but you know, I think you'll pass out before you can eat enough more. You know what I mean? before, unless you like downed, you know, 5 bags all at once or something. You know what I mean? I imagine too that you're. Keep in mind that you would build up a resistance probably to them too. Yeah.
Totally. Because the guy at the dispensary was telling me that he has a friend that. I mean, I was taking half of a 10 milligram one, and then someone he works with takes 300. So, you know, yeah, I think you build up a resistance. But I was like in a strange place with strange people. I had a rental car. I certainly didn't want to be out of control, and it was, I mean, it's totally different than driving it's totally different than driving when you've got alcohol in you. But it's certainly something that should be considered. You know, it's certainly something. In retrospect, I wish I had not been driving, but so it was.
Okay.
Anyway, hopefully they'll be coming to a town near you soon.
Yes, indeed. Well, and okay, kids. So we'll see you back tomorrow. And thank you so much, Amy. And the rest of you guys, everybody, have a great rest of the night. Have a good Monday, and we'll catch you the next time. And so yeah, be good. Peace out, kids. Thanks very much.